I'll just ask you as simply as I can. How did your team land the most accomplished free agent in NFL history?
Well, asking myself the same thing every once in a while. It's feels kind of like a dream. It was a great acquisition for us during this time when a lot of things that's going on in the world with the health crisis. It's been a nice escape to know that we have Tom Brady. It was 2 weeks ago today that the legal tampering or the negotiation period started when we made the first call to his agent, and it seems like 2 months ago now. But when we made the first call at 12 o'clock, and he said, "You made a good decision to call," we knew that we might have a very good chance of getting him.
And just take us through it from there, as much as you can tell us about how that process worked.
Well, we spent a lot of time this offseason, as soon as the season ended, meeting, evaluating every quarterback, every player, like we always do, but especially quarterbacks that we thought that could be potential UFAs. Coaches, my scouts, did an in-depth, very detailed work on all of them and planning on all of them, which one of them could potentially help us and upgrade us at the position. And Bruce made it clear in some interviews that Tom Brady was one, and we did not leave Jameis Winston out of the plan. As soon as Wednesday rolled around and we were able to talk to Tom Brady, we had a great conversation. Bruce and we talked to him for over an hour and a half, and he made it clear in the conversation that he was very, very interested. It was almost like a recruitment on his part, telling us why it would make sense for him to come to Tampa Bay. And the following day, we signed him. But it was at that phone call that we realized that we felt like we had him.
There have been a lot of conversations, of course, about his advanced age. He'll be 43 when the season begins. And some of the numbers from a year ago, some will attribute it to not having a lot of weapons. What did the tape show you relative to his arm and what you feel he has left right now?
Well, the tape to us showed that he had plenty of arm. And in fact, we thought that he had, an ideal arm for Bruce in his system. He can still throw it deep. We felt like the mobility was still the same as he's always had, which he's never been able to outrun anybody, but he certainly is mobile, good in the pocket in terms of eluding pressure and with his poise and his instincts. We did not see a decline in his arm talent whatsoever. And in fact, we feel like, he could still play for over 2 years for us, and hopefully that's the case.
One other thing I'd like to ask you about, another unrestricted free agent, of course, is Antonio Brown. And your coach had some pretty strong comments about him last week. But I would ask you about your thoughts on Antonio Brown and any possibility that he's someone you might look at.
Well, we feel like there's a lot of teams that are struggling to find one really good receiver, and we have two really outstanding receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Right now, there's only so much money that can go around. There are no plans to sign any other receiver at this time. Antonio is somebody Bruce has come out and had some words about, and Bruce knows him better than all of us. So right now, I would just say that we're focused on other areas of our team.
Fair. And then the other thing, as you focus on the areas of your team you still look to improve, the draft is coming up a few weeks away. And I would just ask you, as one in the chair, in what specific ways is this year's draft preparation different based upon all that we're dealing with here with the coronavirus? How is it specifically impacting someone in your position?
Well, we're all affected by this. It's the norm is no longer the norm. This is the new norm. And I'll say that you try to find some advantages to any situation. I'm obviously working alone here. I'm not with my staff. We're using a lot of Zoom, a lot of FaceTime, a lot of phone calls back and forth. But at least for me, I've been able to sit and watch a lot of tape more than I normally would at this time. Also be able to pick up the phone and call prospects. It seems like I'm a little bit more in tune to the draft this year than I ever have been, not relying where I have to rely on my staff, which is a great staff, by the way. Maybe they're not so happy that I'm a little bit more hyper focused on it. But no, it's we'll make the best out of it, and there's not a lot of knocks on my door besides my kids, so it's fewer and far between than it would be if I was in the office. So there are some aspects to this that I'm kind of enjoying.
All right. Well, listen, Jason, first and foremost, stay healthy, and best to you and your family. Congratulations on the enormous acquisition, and we will see you down the road. Good luck with the draft.
Well, congratulations to you too. Brady's no longer in your division, and so we felt like you might like that too.
Yes, I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. On behalf of all Jet fans, thank you very much. Jason Light, General Manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I asked that last question about the draft preparation because you probably heard about this, and we reported it Friday, that Roger Goodell sent a memo to all the teams about the draft saying that it's going to go forward as scheduled. And I want to read you part of that memo here because Goodell said public discussion of issues relating to the draft serves no useful purpose and is grounds for disciplinary action, basically making it clear that no one should come out and be criticizing the league. No one from inside should be criticizing them for going forward. And it went on, but that's the most important part of it. I have very little time. He went on to talk about how we all understand that there's a lot of time that we don't know when we're going to be able to get back to business. You understand the point of this. And Marcus and Dan, I wanted to make this point today because I heard people being critical of Goodell for this. And the only question I would have is, why? Why in the world would you criticize him? It serves absolutely zero purpose for any person within the National Football League to be criticizing the league for making the only decision it possibly could under the circumstances. And he's sitting here talking about, we have no idea that if we postpone this 2 weeks or 4 weeks or anything like that the circumstances would be any different. We managed to go through free agency and it worked out fine. You got a bunch of people who are suggesting, well, I don't get to do my psychological evaluations of these 21-year-old guys and ask them if they still wet the bed, which happens, by the way, not the bedwetting, but the questioning of that. I found it stunning that anyone would criticize Goodell for laying that out there as firmly as he did. Do either of you guys have a thought on that?
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, Greeny, I think for general managers, do your job. Like, stop making do your jobs. Whatever you had a player in ranked in the fall, probably go off that. What was he on tape? Here's a clue. If the quarterback completes a bunch of really good passes, he's probably pretty good. If the defensive back gets a bunch of interceptions, he's probably good. And if the offense moves the defense a bunch, they're
We're losing Dan's signal there just a little bit. Let's go to Marcus here quickly. Danny, I'm sorry, we're losing the signal a little. We'll come back to you. Go ahead, Marcus. What do you think?
Gee, listen, there are two parts to this. And I don't want to minimize the evaluation process that goes on in the NFL. We're not talking about just the first round guys or the guys that everyone is sure about. We're talking about fringe guys for some of these teams that their pro day and the whole evaluation process was going to determine if they were going to get a shot on these teams. In no way am I being critical of Roger Goodell going forward with the draft. But to sit here and act like it doesn't change everything about the evaluation process, I'm not talking about for Tua and Joe Burrow and Chase Young and Isaiah. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about guys at HBCUs that aren't shown on television every day. Guys at lower tier small colleges that don't have an opportunity to be in front of these scouts outside of going to their pro day or some camps or whatever the NFL is putting on around these certain areas. That's who this is going to hurt. So that's the issue that I have with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not critical of Goodell putting this in process now.
All right. We have to leave it there for the moment. We will come back to this as we go. Meanwhile, I have a motorsport, and the O'Reilly Auto Parts 125 from virtual Texas Motor Speedway was run yesterday, part of NASCAR's iRacing Pro Invitational Series, and we're going to take you right to the finish. Timmy Hill trying to hold off Ryan Preece, who went on the inside, but it was not enough. Hill crossing the line for the win, and Hill is the winner of the O'Reilly Auto Parts 125, doing the burnout from the comfort of his own home. As we continue, the Dolphins have the 5th pick in the draft. Dan will tell us exactly why they have to move up to get the man they want. Next, Get Up on ESPN.